صلاتي ونسكي ومحياي ومماتي لله رب العالمين إن صلاتي ونسكي ومحياي ومماتي لله رب العالمين.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah. Worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from head to toe. This is our job on the face of earth. This is how we follow the Prophet alayhi salatu wassalam in the perfect way. This is how we are truthful when we say, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. We should be consistent. We should be perpetual when it comes to our actions. We cannot just say one thing and then our life and actions become in a different way. We have to be truthfully living with La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. That we worship none but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in all of our affairs, with all the different parts of our bodies, according to the way of the Prophet alayhi salatu wassalam. That's why we need to learn it. We need to have the time to learn how to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and then we would need the patience to apply what we learned and to follow the way of the Prophet alayhi salatu wassalam. We have been talking about the tongue, and how we need to use the tongue in the way that will be for the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala according to the way of the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam, but one of which is the outside appearance, the general appearance of the Muslim. This is important, and this is part of our religion. And this is something that you would find many ahadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam that talks about the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam would say, for example, ilbisu min thiyabikum al-bayad. That means wear from your clothing the color white, the white color, right? وَكَفِّنُوا فِيهَا مَوْتَكُمْ, and wrap your dead in it, right? So this is something, if the Prophet ﷺ said so, that this is part of our religion. Yes, it's a recommended thing, but there's a reason behind it, and that is to keep the Muslim always clean. Because once you have something that the color of it is white, any slight dirt will be very clear. And that's why the person would immediately go and wash it. So keeping ourselves physically clean at all times, it's part of our religion. The outside appearance, to be clean at all times. And we learn that when it comes to making the 5 daily salah, for example. We are in state of purity, physical purity, to be away from matters of non-clean things, impurities, whether it's on our bodies, on our clothing, the place that we make the salah. This is a condition for the salah to be accepted. The same way physically we're supposed to be clean, we're supposed to be also inwardly clean. To be pure from associating partners with Allah, to be clean from envy, from attachment to other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, from all the different, the hatred towards Muslims and so on. So this is basically one of the attitudes and one of the things that we need to fulfill in our life, and that is to follow the way of the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam by being clean physically and being clean also inwardly. And this is called in the religion of Islam husn as-samt, that to have this clean and good appearance following the way of the Prophet ﷺ. There's a very beautiful statement by Abdullah ibn Mas'ud radiallahu anh, and he would never say this unless he heard that from the Prophet ﷺ. He was talking to the people at his time, and he said that you are in a time, إنكم في زمان كثير فقهاؤه قليل خطباؤه, that you are in a time when there is so many of the people of knowledge and very less of those who give khutbahs, those who can give eloquent speech. There's a lot of ulama, but there is less of those who are khatib, or those who can give eloquent speeches and so on. Abdullah ibn Mas'ud radiallahu anhu, he said a statement that is very serious, and it shows that he would not have been saying this unless he heard it from the Prophet ﷺ. He said radiallahu anhu, talking to the people at his time, إنكم في زمان كثير علماء أو فقهاء قليل خطباء, that you are in a time when there is abundance of the people of knowledge. This is at the time of the companions radiallahu anhu. A lot of scholars, a lot of people of knowledge, and less of those khutaba, those who can give eloquent speech, but not necessarily people of knowledge. And then he said, كثير معطو قليل سؤال, which means you are in a time when there's so many people that are giving for the sake of Allah, spending for the sake of Allah, whether it's their wealth or their effort and time and even their life. They gave their life for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, fighting for the sake of Allah and so on. And you are in a time when there is less people, those who are asking, less beggars, right? They had the honor and the dignity that they would ask less. So imagine this is the type of environment that was present at the time of the Prophet ﷺ. Islam changed their life. There were many scholars. They understood the importance of knowledge. They would give their time to learn the deen of Islam. And there were less among those who can just speak eloquently. And there are so many of those who can give for the sake of Allah, and less of those who are asking. And then he said, الْعَمَلُ فِيهِ قَائِدٌ لِلْهَوَى. You are in a time when actions is the one that is leading the desires. This is a very important statement. Actions, the deeds of the person, is leading the desire. The desire comes behind the actions. Because if it's the other way around, when the desires are the ones that is leading the actions, that means a person would not follow the truth, would not follow necessarily the way of the Prophet ﷺ. And then he said, وَسَيَأْتِي بَعْدَكُمْ زَمَانٍ. And he said, then a time will come after you. And then he mentioned things will change. Things will flip on the other way. قَلِيلٌ عُلَمَاءُ كَثِيرٌ خُطَبَاءُ. A time when there will be less among the people of knowledge and more among those who can give eloquent speeches and khutbahs, right? And this is the time that we live in. Less of the ulama. And when the ummah is lacking the ulama, that means the ummah is ruined. We are in need of the knowledge. We are in need of the people of knowledge. Abdullah ibn Mas'ud radiallahu anhu, he understood very clearly there is a difference between a person of knowledge and someone that can give khutbah, someone that can speak very eloquently. And this is one of the issues that we are living nowadays. People do not separate or differentiate between the real scholars and those who imitate the scholars, those who can just give a speech. Not everybody can give a speech. Or motivational speaker is one of the people of knowledge. The people of knowledge are known, not that the masses would know the people of knowledge like this by the way they speak. They are known by the people of knowledge. The people of knowledge, they praise one another because it comes from one generation to the other. The person seeking knowledge, they go to the people of knowledge and they spend so much time with them. So to the extent of which that the scholar would say that this is someone that I would trust to convey the message and to teach others and so on. Not by a person reading few books and then and he have the ability to speak very nice, then all of a sudden people would follow him whether he says the truth or not. Anyway, but the subject comes later, in which he said after that a time would come and people will be less giving, and there's so many of the people asking. More beggars than those who would spend for the sake of Allah. More needy and less people those who would spend for the sake of Allah, which is the time that we live in. People are more into being greedy, and not too many people are spending for the sake of Allah. And there's so many people that are in need. And then he said, Al-hawa fihi qa'idun lil-amal. That the time that would come, which is the time that also we see, that desire is the one that is leading actions. Not actions leading the desire. Desires are leading actions. Desire comes first. The desire would lead the person, he wants to do this, or he wants to say that, and then he would act accordingly. Whether it's according to the deen of Allah, whether it's against the deen of Allah, it doesn't matter, because the desire is the thing that drives the people, makes them stand and sit and act and speak and so on. And then he said something, and this is why I mentioned the statement. He said something, radiallahu anhu, that would benefit the people at the end of time. Those when things are flipped like this and things are not according to the way of the Prophet ﷺ, he said, حُسْنُ السَّمْتِ, meaning at this time, will be better, أفضل من بعض العمل. At this time, حُسْنُ السَّمْتِ, the outside appearance, the way that a person act would be at that time better than some of the deeds, some of the actions. That means the outside appearance is very important at this time. Although, of course, as we know from the religion of Islam, Islam does not give importance to the outside appearance, but it's the outside appearance and the inward actions and all of our affairs. But to make sure that we follow the way of the Prophet ﷺ in our outside appearance, it's something that is very important. Especially when it's times for us to see that Islam is being a strange thing into the life of others, where people are not used to see the way and the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. And that's why when we hear, for example, that the most beloved clothing to the Prophet ﷺ is al-qamis, or the thobe, or what we see, it's something that for men to imitate that, to imitate the way of the Prophet ﷺ, it's a good thing. The Prophet ﷺ used to cover his head we cover our head also imitating the Prophet ﷺ. It's not a mandatory thing, but why not following the way of the Prophet ﷺ? Hijab, for example, for women. This is a mandatory thing, of course, in which women are ordered to wear and observe the hijab according to the wives of the Prophet ﷺ, according to the verses of the Qur'an. This is a mandatory thing. This is an outside appearance. And at the same time, when you see, for example, some of the enemies of Islam, it irritates them so much to see the outside appearance of a Muslim. Why is that if it's something that is not that important? When some of the Muslims would say, this is not important as long as your heart is sound and good and as long as your manners and so on. But this is since the Prophet ﷺ said, we follow the way of the Prophet ﷺ. Even when it comes to the beard, for example, the Prophet ﷺ ordered the men to grow their beard. This is part of our religion. We do not belittle anything in the religion of Islam. We're not staying day and night talking about the beard, but it's part of the deen. And that's why you would find that in many different parts of the world, hijab and the beard, it's something that they would oppose so much. Why would even governments sometimes, they would oppose this outside appearance if it's something little? Because it shows the identity of a Muslim. And that's why we need to hold fast to this and to make sure that the outside appearance, that we are taking care of it, the same way that we take care of the inward actions and the deeds done by the heart and the things we say and the salah and the acts of worship. All of that is part of the ibadah or the acts of worship done by the different parts of the body. We do not separate, we do not differentiate, we do not say this is important, this is not important. No, we take the whole religion of Islam as a whole and we do the best we can to follow the way of the Prophet ﷺ. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us among the true followers of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Wa sallallahu wa sallam wa barak ala Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
قل إن صلاتي ونسكي ومحياي ومماتي لله رب العالمين قل إن صلاتي ونسكي ومحياي